Hey guys, today I'm going to sort of run you through what the last 15 months have looked like with my prep for surgery. I just found out my radiation date coming up in a few weeks. It's been a long journey to sort of get to this point. Absolutely, it's been an absolute muck around, especially at the start. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'd know that like the first 6 months or so, I was just getting no answers. No one wanted to talk to me. I couldn't get even an appointment with some of the surgeons I was trying to book in with because they just didn't want to take my case. So it was a lot of stress. No one wanted to give me answers and no one sort of wanted to take on my case. After a bit more research and asking around and just doing a bit of work trying to find the right people, I eventually found some people willing to talk, and these people were in Sydney and eventually Brisbane. And with me living in the Gold Coast, kind of made sense to go talk more in person with the people in Brisbane, a lot closer to home, a lot easier to sort of go through the process with. And I just preferred a conversation in person. But yeah, these guys are absolute legends. They've been so precise and so informative, and just talking to me like a real person. I feel like some of these people kind of a bit robotic, and they're super smart. They know what they're doing. It's just hard to kind of get a conversation that flows and get answers that make sense to me on a very simple point, if that kind of makes sense. But everyone I've talked to have been helpful. These guys have been really good, and that's sort of who I've been speaking to. I've spoken to the neurosurgeon end of last year, and then I eventually got onto his radiation oncologist, so Dr. Matthew Foote, up at Brisbane Icon Cancer Centre. Obviously, with my AVM, the process that they're looking to do is a radiation, so it's called gamma knife radiation. It's what they do for like specialized brain cancers and tumors and things like what I've got, which is this AVM, which is pretty deep in my brain. So he sort of talked me through the whole process. This is back over 5 months ago now. Had the appointment with him in Brisbane, talked me through the whole process, talked me through the percentages of what can go wrong, the potential deficits with like losing strength, numbness, being paralyzed, all these sort of things down the left side of my body, which is where my AVM is in my brain, if that kind of makes sense. So I had to weigh all that up, but it was at that point where I was just like, the chances of doing something and something going wrong, and the chances of leaving it and just trying to live a very tame life, they were very similar. And just with how I wanted to do it, I sat with that decision for a little bit of time, and I was just like, nah, like I'd rather try something and hopefully it gets better. Try something and it gets better, or try something and it doesn't get better, versus leaving it up to chance and just seeing what happens. Because then it's not in your hands. At least by having a crack, I feel a lot better about that decision. So that's sort of what we did. He put me on the waiting list. It's taken up to now, about 5 months, just over 5 months, to have this date booked in, and it's coming up in a few weeks. So I'm super excited. Just because it's been so long, I've spent a lot of time processing it all and just thinking through it all, and it's the right decision for me. So now I'm at the point where I want to get it done. I'm excited to get it done. It's very likely I'll be doing 2 sessions, so I'll get one done in a few weeks. I'll have to go back in 6 months' time and get another gamma knife radiation session done. And then you pretty much just wait like 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years. You get a 6 month to yearly checkup. You get scans regularly, and they just sort of see how it works, see if it gets smaller, and then eventually if it goes away. So that's kind of what this year's going to look like: 2 radiation sessions, and then we sit and wait and hope that it works. If it doesn't work, then that's going to be a whole nother conversation in 3 to 4 years with my neurosurgeon at the start. And that, where depending on how it looks and how small it's gotten or whatever, like there's that chance that they might then have that opportunity to open up the brain, cut it out, which would get rid of it. But that's just not a possibility now because of how big it is, and it's sort of touching all these important parts of my brain, that he pretty much guaranteed. He's like, yeah, if we cut it open, you will be paralyzed down the left side of your body. So I'd rather not take that risk now. We'll do this radiation, see how it goes, see how it works. Hopefully it works. Hopefully we don't need to go through the full surgery in 3 to 5 years time. But that's just with where we're at now. I've had friends and family asking questions about all the different things in the process, so I am going to be a bit more consistent with sort of posting the process. I've got to go back to work today actually and do a swing, one last swing at work. I'm doing FIFO at the moment, so I'll go do one more swing, come back home, then I'll be taking a few weeks off to do the surgery, do the recovery, which I don't think is too bad. I think from the kind of doctors I've spoken to or the assistants and stuff, they've said that I'm going to be very fatigued. I'll be pretty cooked, I reckon, for like 1 to 2 weeks at least. Then there's the potential for inflammation in the brain. So with that, I'll probably just want to be close to home or within reason, so that if the brain does inflame and all these things pop up with like potentially added seizures or pain, headaches, whatever, all the problems that come with brain swelling, I want to be close to home so that I can go to the hospital, get different steroid stuff put in, and whatever all that medical processes, they're going to update me as we sort of go through it all. But yeah, that's sort of what it's looking like now. Get this last thing done, and then I can just focus on surgery, focus on the recovery, and then we do it all again in 6 months' time. But yeah, with just going back to work, I wanted to keep busy. Last thing I want to do, I was going to take some time off and just sort of, ease into this surgery, but I don't want to be sitting here every day just thinking about it. I'd rather go to work, be busy, train, do what I've been doing, which is just light training and a bit of light cardio and stuff, keep a bit busy, keep building myself to be stronger and fitter and healthier and just feel good, be busy, and when the time comes, we're ready to get into it. So that's kind of, what's been happening. That's what we've got planned for the next few weeks. And then I'll sort of show you bits and bobs of probably what the surgery looks like. So I've got to get like this head frame put on my head, obviously, where they screw in like a few screws right into your skull, because you can't move. Obviously, once you go into this machine, it's so precise. You've got like 190 beams going from different angles to hit the one spot that you can't move. So they screw this bloody thing into your head, into your skull. So I think the recovery on that's not too bad, apparently. It's just screws into your skull. So we'll get that done, and then deal with the fatigue and whatever comes with it after that. So yeah, hectic, man. It is pretty hectic. Doesn't sound real when I tell people, but it is what it is. I've had enough time to think about it, and we're doing it. So definitely follow along, subscribe, keep an eye out on the journey. I'll post some more stuff on Instagram and that, and I'll keep you guys updated on here with the steps that are leading into it, surgery day, and what recovery looks like leading into the next radiation surgery. So stay tuned.